Good day, everyone. I'm Julmi Bigonyeso, and I am the next reporter of our group. The assigned topic to me is the examples of Catholic and Iglesia ni Cristo churches. So let's talk about first the Catholic churches. So, under the Catholic churches, we have Hispanic and modern churches. And let me discuss to you first the Hispanic churches. Most of the Catholic churches with Spanish influence are found in the Ilocos region, in the north. The Ilocos Church is generally part of the complex that includes an atrium and a convent. In general, the religious edifices are rectangular structures that often face the sea. The worshipper enters to find himself in a single nave that leads directly to an altar fully visible from the entrance. The impression imparted is thus that of a strictly functional edifice, built for only one purpose, to afford the corner a sheltered place for worship. Belfries may form an integral part of the church or are built as a separate structure. Materials are brick, coral or river rock, plastered over with stucco. Some churches sport glazed tiles floors and wooden pillars. The ceilings come in tin, wood or sawali, and the walls are thick enough to stand earthquakes. As if to attest to the fact that roofs, whether of light material such as nipa or stronger and modern such as galvanized iron, the churches of Ilocos have this distinguishing feature. An outdoor stairway is always found against the wall of the nave and leading to the roof. And also, massiveness. It characterizes the churches in the northern part of the region. There are evident attempts to scale heights of grandeur in the design of facades. The churches in southern Ilocos, on the other hand, are smaller and show a proportionately tighter use of space. So now, let's proceed to the examples of churches under the Hispanic churches. First is Vegan Church or Vegan Cathedral. Vegan Cathedral, canonically known as the Metropolitan Cathedral of the Conversion of St. Paul the Apostle, is a Roman Catholic cathedral in Vigan, Ilocos Sur. It serves as the seat of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Nueva Segovia. It is part of the historic town of Vigan in the year 1999. The church is predominantly in earthquake Baroque style with large buttresses on its side. It also has Neo-Gothic, Romanesque, and Chinese-inspired embellishments. In its interior are silver-paneled main altar, 3 naves, 12 minor altars, and brass communion handrails. South of the cathedral is a separate 25 meters or 82 feet bell tower with a weather rooster on top, which symbolizes Saint Peter. And the next slide is Panay Church. This awe-inspiring monument to a past Spanish grandeur in Panay town is about 250 feet long and 80 feet wide. Its 9 feet thick walls are of coral blocks. The floor is of colored marble which shine in subdued tone under 2 misty lights. The church has a 5-story belfry that shelters a huge antique bell surrounded with 8 smaller bells. Shrouded with many enchanting tales, the huge bell holds a more fascinating truth. It was cased from 76 sacks of coins believed to have been contributed by citizens of Panay. Its mammoth size holds a staggering record. It is 7 feet in diameter and 10,400 kilograms in weight and is considered the biggest in the Philippines, if not in Southeast Asia. Barasawin Church. The Barasawin Church in the capital town of Malolos, Bulacan, was the seat of the Malolos Congress that led to the framing of the 1899 Philippine Constitution. It may be recalled that Bulacan was one of the 8 provinces that rose up in arms against Spanish colonial rule. The Paway Church in Ilocos Norte. This church was first built in the year 1774, although the mission dates from the year 1593. Its huge buttresses with scroll design are said to be unmatched in the Philippines. There are 11 buttresses on each side and 2 at the back, each 2 paces thick, projecting 5.5 paces from the wall. These buttresses illustrate why the Lux churches have withstood earthquakes through the ages. And for this slide, we have Manila Cathedral. The Manila Cathedral is the most recent version of the long-standing Church of Manila, built from the year 1954 to 1958 under the supervision of Filipino architect Fernando H. Ocampo. After the previous structure was flattened in the Second World War, it's a masterpiece of architecture. Every detailed wall carving, door, panel, portal, and even its attractive stained glass has its own story. Next is the Manila Cathedral covers an area of almost 3,000 square meters. The present structure has a Latin cross plan which closely follows the distribution of spaces of the previous cathedral aisles, are separated from the nave by arcaded colonnades, and several chapels flank the nave. The beauty and wonder of marble as a building material stand out in the Manila Cathedral. The chapels are paved by highly polished Carrara marble, prefabricated in Italy. The main altar, which has 2-meter high statue of the Immaculate Conception, is featured with lovely columns built out of green Carrara marble. Paving the rest of the cathedral floor are cream slabs of marble. Marble also found its way in the altars of the side chapels, where reliefs and mosaic panels add further decorative accents. Likewise, the pulpit and the episcopal throne are made out of Italian marble. Although fashioned after the previous structure, Ocampo's cathedral is the product of his own creativity and talent. The child of his sensitive appreciation and respect for the older cathedral structure, the design and plan of which he adapted to the post-war period modernist trend in architecture. Indeed, the present Manila Cathedral is a product of its own age and time. The next church is the San Sebastian Cathedral, located in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines. Originally a church founded by Bishop Mariano Cuartero, OP, cornerstone laid in the 27th of April 1876, inaugurated in the 20th of January 1882 by Father Mauricio Ferrero, first parish priest, became a cathedral on the 23rd of June in 1933, repaired and improved in 1936 by Messenger Casimiro M. Liadoc, first bishop, 1933 to 1941. Like most churches in the Visayan Islands or the Central Philippines, this church is built of stone in contrast to the churches in the 9 Bulugas provinces in Luzon Island, which are built mainly of bricks. The next church is the San Sebastian Cathedral, located in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines. Originally a church founded by Bishop Mariano Cuartero, OP, cornerstone laid in the 27th of April 1876, inaugurated in the 20th of January 1882 by Father Mauricio Ferrero, first parish priest, became a cathedral on the 23rd of June in 1933, repaired and improved in 1936 by Messenger Casimiro M. Liadoc, first bishop, 1933 to 1941. Like most churches in the Visayan Islands or the Central Philippines, this church is built of stone in contrast to the churches in the 9 Bulugas provinces in Luzon Island, which are built mainly of bricks. For the next slide, we have Daraga Church and Bell Tower, located in Daraga, Albay, Philippines. Built on a new site, Daraga, not long after the eruption of Mayon volcano in 1814, which buried the old church in Cagsawa, the upper portion of the bell tower of the old church still stands today. The Daraga Church is perhaps one of the best expressions of the Filipino church builders' interpretation of Baroque architecture. It is difficult to imagine a church built during the Spanish colonial period in the Philippines that does not have a bell tower. The sound of a bell or several bells in bell towers has a long history of meanings. The bells were rung to call the faithful to Mass. The sequence of ringing meant first ringing was a warning which may be 15 minutes before Mass started. The second meant Mass started in 5 minutes and the final bell was for entering the church for Mass to start. There was, in fact, a difference in calling people to low Mass or high Mass. Bells announced weddings, baptisms, and deaths. In some places, the ringing of bells differed for the death of males and females, and also the children. In many cases, in the past, bells were rung to announce danger. So, let's come to the next slide, which is Miagao Church. Located in Miagao, Iloilo, Philippines. This church has been declared a National Historical Landmark by the National Historical Institute of the Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of the Philippines. The marker of the church reads, "Construction of this church began in the year 1787 while Fray Francisco M. Gonzalez, OSA, was parish priest of this town and Comingo Obuon was Gobernadorcillo. The church was completed in the year 1779. It serves as fortress against Muslim rebels. In the year 1898, during the revolution, the church was destroyed. Subsequently rebuilt, it was damaged before in the year 1910. It was badly damaged by earthquake in 1948. Restoration work began in the year 1960 and completed in the year 1962, during the term of the Most Reverend Dr. Jose Maria Cuenca, Metropolitan Archbishop of Haro, of Messenger Fernando S. Javillo, the parish priest of this town, and Oyascara Moeda, the municipal mayor. The restoration, like much of the restoration work on churches and other buildings built during the Spanish period, has masked the original design and quality of work and materials used. Parish of the Holy Sacrifice. The Parish of the Holy Sacrifice, also known as the Church of the Holy Sacrifice, is a landmark Catholic chapel on the University of the Philippines Diliman campus. It belongs to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Cubao, and its present parish priest is Reverend Father Jose Estupino III, more popularly known as the UP Chapel. The church was constructed under the supervision of Father John P. Delaney, who began ministering to the spiritual needs of the campus in the year 1947.
Still under the topic of Catholic churches are modern churches and example structures.
The first modern church is St. Andrew the Apostle Parish. It is one of the known modern edifices designed by Leandro V. Locsin in Makati. It is dedicated to St. Andrew the Apostle, the patron saint of Metro Manila and Bel Air Village. The design of this parish church in Bel Air, Makati is symbolic of the manner the martyr died, crucified on an X-shaped cross. The butterfly-shaped floor plan emanates from this cruciform. Many other symbolic features mark the tent-like structure, including the giant chandelier over the altar, which serves as a halo over the copper cross by national artist for visual art Vicente Manansala. And for the next slide, we also have modern Romanesque Baclaran Church, the national shrine of Our Mother of Perpetual Help, also called the Redemptorist Church, popularly known as the Baclaran Church, is one of the largest churches in the Philippines. It houses an icon, Our Mother of Perpetual Help, which is among the most venerated Marian images in the country. The icon and the church have undergone changes over time. In the year 1932, the Redemptorist priests replaced the Mother of Perpetual Help icon with a larger version to accommodate the growing number of devotees. The present church building of modern Romanesque style is the third to be built on the same site. In December 1952, the National Shrine of Our Mother of Perpetual Help was completed.
We will now proceed on discussing the details about Iglesia Ni Cristo churches.
Iglesia Ni Cristo churches is a highly original style bristling with spires and cantilevered canopies, has altered the skyline of the Philippines from north to south, conceived by architect Carlos Santos Viola. The church was founded by Bishop Felix Manalo in the year 1914 and claims to be neither Catholic as it worships no graven idols nor Protestant, for it forms a single body. The church-sized chapels are called capilla and is in Gothic style. The sexes are segregated in the capilla even from the entrance. Since the liturgy is unique, the layout is different. It is not an altar, therefore, but a restroom that occupies the focal point of the capilla. There is much congregational singing, biblical preaching, and communal preaching. Behind the restroom are four chairs for the different officiate and ministers. Behind the chairs is a tired stage where a large choir stands and sings during the services. In between the two separate doors are large wall cabinets, handsomely varnished and mullioned, where the faithful can insert the attendance cards before entering. The Iglesia does not believe in infant baptism, hence, there is no baptismal font. It initiates an adult applicant by immersion in a pool located at each side of the choral stage. The typical floor plan of the capilla is rectangle. It has no altar and no ecclesiastical symbols like the fish, loaves, or wine. It is first and foremost an assembly hall where the faithful meet the Lord, not through images of private devotions, but through the world. And also, the roof rests on a row of wooden trusses, which in turn rest on reinforced concrete walls. Decoration of the exterior is of either reinforced or precast concrete and colored acoustical materials, carved and shaped into different forms, adorn the hill. What is bold about the capilla is its use of fanciful forms and ornaments. It had a brilliant white facade whose silhouette is cusped Gothic arc or a flattened Saracenic arc. And for the last slide is also the additional infos about the INC churches. The long, tall windows may rise in rows to the arc's tip like a row of votive candles, or they may cluster together as one huge window with a web-like tracery. The capilla does not display fake buttresses. It uses cantilevered canopies rather than recessed portals, which thrust out over the entrances to greet the faithful. The towers are not rectangular shafts but rounded, hexagonal, or diamond-shaped piers through with tracery. Like the colonial mansion in the Nipa Hut, the capilla uses a steep roof to let off the rainwater, a carnivorous roof interior together with a high ceiling to spur the circulation of wind and air, and large windows with adjustable awnings. It is not a jutting eave but a cantilevered canopy that shield the windows and doors from rain and heat. The capilla's favorite ornament is the spike on top of the turrets, and as you can see, there is attached photo, a sample of the capilla or the English ni Cristo Church.
Okay, so I am Ray Arnold H. Galicia, and I'm going to discuss the residential houses in Philippine architecture through the years. The Philippines' rich history and vast influences from other nations have paved the way for the contemporary architectural designs of today. From ancient Philippines to contemporary times, here are some of the examples of residential houses in our country. So in the 60s, its structures usually incorporates concrete wall on the ground floor walls and furnished wooden walls, or more likely a modernized version of the ancestral houses in the Philippines. This structure is said to be made of wood walls to pair it with the tropical weather. So in the 70s, at this time, concrete walls are more likely used. There are still houses built with wooden walls, but structural details are furthermore modernized. It is said to be that people with higher social class are more likely to build this type of houses. So in the 80s, bungalow and all concrete structure at this time is starting to be the trend. There are lesser wooden accents, but details such as balusters and firewalls are now seen in the structures. So, in the modern times, due to the rising population of our country or even other countries, townhouse and subdivision type houses are designed to fit with urban architecture. Modern contemporary type housings are also popular at present as it is seen as elegant and sophisticated architectural design. Next, we are going to discuss the architectural ornaments in Philippine architecture. Ornaments such as carvings and moldings and surfaces of a structure does not only appeal to our eyes but also has deeper meanings. Influenced by native or local beliefs, symbols are made which holds deeper meanings. Thus, the culture and architecture of Visayans, Mindanao, Muslims, Ifugaos, Mangyans, and a numberless but slowly disappearing tribes in the archipelago are being compiled and analyzed. With no little surprise, the young Filipino architects are gradually discovering the delicate and exotic beauty of the Surimanok, the steep roof of the Ifugaos, the stilted dwellings of the Badjaos, the refreshing beauty of the ornamental rafters of the Maranaos, and the hospitable spaciousness of the Visayan hut. Here in the next slides, we are going to show you images of the said ornaments from different tribes or places in the country. So first, we have Mountain Province or North Kalinga tribe and the Ifugao. In the next slide, we can see the Pontok ornaments and the Igorot's animal motifs. Next one is the Tagalog or Mid-Luzon and Manila ornaments. These ornaments are evident in wall details of Bahay na Bato. It is characterized by symmetrical floral curves which are sophisticated in the eyes. These details are mostly used on walls, balusters, and lintel. So makikita siya sa may taasang part ng pintuan tapos dyan sa may gilid, sa may baba ng part ng window. Okay, so here we can see the Tiboli ornaments. So symbols and patterns are usually can be seen on textiles or sa mga hinahabi nilang mga tela. Each details possess symbolism or meaning. Triangles as example is seen in wall carvings as it symbolizes stability and strength. So next is the Maranao, Okir, and Sarimanok. Okir or Okil is the term for rectilinear and curvilinear plant-based design and folk motifs that can be usually found among the Moro and Lumad people of the southern Philippines as well as parts of Sabah. It is particularly associated with the artwork of the Maranao and Sama or Bajau tribes, although it can also be found to a lesser extent among the Maguindanao, Iranun, Tausog, Yakan, and Lumad groups. The design elements vary among these ethnic groups, with the greatest refinement being found among the Maranao. So next is the Panulong or the Bimems. So the Panulong is a house ornament fashioned by the Maranao people. It is carved beam that protrudes in the front of the house and styled with ochre motif. So the Panulongs are part of the Maranao, Ochre, and Sarimanok. The shape of the panulong is an architectural translation of a prow, meaning the protruding part in the front of a ship. The panulongs are the most striking part of the exterior of the Torogan. Okay, for the last topic of our report, we are going to discuss the architectural furnitures in the Philippine architecture. So, in the early 17th century, less than a century after the Spaniards first arrived in the islands, households began having a greater variety of furniture other than the primitive low-lying tables called dulang, which you can see in the side, and daybed or papag. The types of furniture produced in the fledgling colonies, various regions, and provinces were determined by many factors, creating marked characteristics in style and craftsmanship that could be linked to a particular place. So in the 18th century, The profitable galleon trade and migration due to the lingering strife in their homeland brought a steady stream of Chinese craftsmen, including furniture makers, to the Philippines. By the 18th century, Chinese influences were evident in the silhouette and design elements of the Batangas Unod and Dos altar tables and gargoyle demonio table, which you can see here in the side, the image, from Manila and Central Luzon provinces, made in highly prized balayong wood. So, in the mid-19th century, the golden age in agriculture in the mid-19th century gave rise to the sugar industry and Negros interlock, the coffee industry in the Batangas and the rice industry in Central Luzon, while Manila remained strong as the center of commerce and trading. The Buenas Familias and Hacienderos' wealth and opulence were reflected in the grandiose design, monumental size, and expensive choices of wood, such as balayong and kamagong of their furniture. In these slides, we can see the kapia or itong mahabang upuan tapos ang tambol aparador. Fine examples of this include the primitive style kapia, yung mahabang chair sa naunang slide, in Balayong that's over 10 feet long from Batangas. Itambol aparador, yung parang cabinet dun sa nauna ding slide, which is made in Camagong and Nara with ornate inland frieze from Bulacan. A Sheraton-style altar table, ito namang katabi ngayon dito sa slide na to, which is made in Camagong and Nara from Bulacan, and neoclassical Carlos XIII chairs from Manila, an elegant poster bed, which is made in Nara and Camagong, also from Manila, and from the Binondo taller of the famous Ataya Calabasa bed, with a unique mango motif carved on its canopy. Ito yung furniture na dinedescribe dun sa naunang slide. So, we can see the Gabaldon bed and the Carlos XIII suite. So, authentic beds made by Atay remain one of the most sought after pieces of furniture to this day. The island of Bohol developed its unique design elements decorated with abundant use of polychrome that made this furniture, many in Molave and Balayong, colorfully vibrant and instantly recognizable, like a large komoda in a fiesta of details and colors. So here in these slides, we can see the Atay Calabasa bed. Yung parang merong mga sharp objects sa may taas, tapos ang polychrome komoda. So for the 20th century, the Art Nouveau style inspired by nature dominated furniture design until the 1920s. This floral design can be found in the pierced carvings of the crest of butaca chairs from Nueva Ecija and Laguna. The Bilibid prison during the early American occupation produced furniture synonymous with foreign workmanship, such as an 18-seater dining table made from combination of Nara, Molave, and Camagong. Its florid carving and monumental size is a lasting testament to Filipino elegance in design and excellent craftsmanship that continues to this day. So here in the slides, we can see the butaca chair and a massive 18-seater dining table. So at this time, yung butaka chair na ginawa na siya yung parang portable, yung nabubuka na. So nagbago yung design, however, butaka pa din yung tawag. So here ends the report of our group about Philippine architecture. Thank you very much.